It said an error occurred, so let's wait a moment and try again. I don't know what happened. That's the first time I've ever had this happen.
Yeah, it's always a first.
Yep, it is. Let me see if I can take a picture of this. Let's try again. Hmm. Good morning, Scott Stanfield here. I am the modern longevitarian, and today is going to continue on the journey. In today's episode 76, I'm super excited to have Bernard Mueller on, executive chef, certified executive chef. And we're going to really tap into. Yesterday, we talked about leadership with Jill Raff on the show with restaurants who dates back. Her parents opened the 150th McDonald's in 1959 in Ocala, Florida. And I think they're very early in the game. And when it comes to McDonald's. And so today we're going to talk with Bernard, who he moved across the world from Germany to Mexico and worked with Marriott very early in the game. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we started with Marriott when they had 62 properties total. So I'm excited to tap into his wisdom that's been around for, and learn from him and help get that to the people who are watching here on LinkedIn, all the people who are in the hospitality industry and how they can learn from this. Also, thank you for watching on the Spirituality Gone Wild Network. And sometimes we have to relearn things. One of the things we relearn is not to drink orange juice after brushing our teeth, or is one of the things we forget over time. And one of those is about how important sleep is. And and we were talking about that just before we came live. And so I wrote a book called Outstanding Landing: How to Get the Sleep of Your Dreams. It has 7 steps to sound sleep. It's available for free download on my website. Just go to strongforlonger.com and download that for free. Now, it's going to help you fall asleep one of 2 ways. Okay. The first way is you're either going to say, hey, these 7 steps, I need to get my bedroom in order, change my mindset, paint the colors on the wall different color to help me relax, right? Or get the right bedding, or get 65 degrees at night when I go to sleep, or maybe get a chili pad or those things, or maybe need white sound or background, white noise or background noise, or meditation before I go to sleep, or maybe eat too late, or drink coffee too late in the afternoon, or exercise intensely too late, or look on your phone too much. Whatever the reason, right? You'll find one of these things that maybe this golden nugget to help you get sleep. But there also, the second way is that the book could be so boring it just puts you to sleep, right? Either way, download the book, and it's a short, punchy 7 steps, and just so important, sleep is, because it touches every system in the body. And that's why I think it's the pillar that supports the most weight of all the 8 pillars of being a modern longevitarian. And no matter what industry you're in, no matter what, you're a human, and humans need their sleep. And what's most important is figuring out what your chronotype is and then building everything off that. I'm a night person. I've always been a night person as long as I can remember. Maybe when I get in another 20 years, I may be a morning person, like as older people go. That's fine. But right now, everything's built off that. That means I don't eat breakfast, right? I eat a late lunch, and then I eat a little bit later than people who may be an early bird. So that's how this works. And my workout schedule is based off that, all of those things. So find out what your sleep type is and then really build that. So we've had a couple comments come in already. Miriam is said good afternoon. It's good morning for me. Good afternoon for Bernard there. I think he's in, and also looking forward to a great show. And then we have another Bernard on, another top class guest. So thank you very much for tuning in to the show. We're excited. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest today, and we're going to get started. So Bernard, thank you for coming on the show.
Anytime. Looking forward to.
Yes. So your nickname's El Jefe. El Jefe.
El Jefe, así es. Muy bien.
So it's funny. I was helping a friend at a restaurant, and I walked in, and they said, and I started like speaking a little Spanish, and like, Espanol. I was like, poquito. Just like, but we were talking about that before we get into your history and all those things. We were talking about the importance of, the multicultural aspect of restaurants, right? And how the true craftsmen, and without people, knowing Spanish or having those type of other, other cultures in our restaurants, they probably wouldn't survive, right? We really need those.
Oh,
right? So I love your take on that. So let's just talk about that for a minute, about that, and then we can get into your history.
Here's how it works in my life, okay? Since I'm married with a Mexican woman, since a little bit over 50 years, we just had our 50th anniversary, the 28th of August, I constantly find myself in this dilemma, particularly when it comes to spelling. When I write certain things, all of a sudden there shows some Spanish word up in a German sentence, vice versa in English. Right. Well, it happened to me when I post stuff. So many people, they forgive me, but some people sometimes, they write me back and says, "Hey, chef, I think you should check this out again." Words in there, we have no clue. Here's how it works in my household. I speak with my wife mostly in Spanish. Okay, That's how I met her. That's how it became. Right. Now, my kids, I speak in English. Right. They speak Spanish too, but I speak in English with them. It's easier for me in a way because I speak English every day, 24/7. Then every Saturday, I call my dad up in Germany, speak in German with him, because I cannot lose my practice in German, because when I go there on vacation, hopefully one of those days again, after the virus is gone, I have to showcase, hey, listen, this guy's still German. Right. He has lost it completely, okay? Right. They'll let you know right away when you get off the plane how good you speak still. They'll let you know, okay? But it's embarrassing when they say, hey, you have changed a lot, the way how your voice sounds. What do you mean I have changed a lot? I haven't changed at all. Of course you have. So I always keep up in those 3 languages. And of course, here and there, the things don't work quite out as they always work out, So this is my life 24/7. Right. Once a week I speak in German. The rest of them I speak in Spanish and English.
Right. Well, it's kind of similar for me, right? Not in different languages, but different dialects, really, of English, right? I grew up in South Carolina, grew up in the South, and
very heavy there.
Yeah, very heavy, very heavy, deep accent, right? And people who probably are, that I grew up with and know me, like when they hear me on the live show or hear me those type of things, are like, you don't sound anything like you did when you grew up in South Carolina.
You talk about the slangs and dialects in America. There's one guy I always admired. I love him to death. He, rest in peace, he doesn't live anymore. Jonathan Winters.
Yes. Yep.
I'm telling you, this guy he was unbelievable how he imitated dialects, American dialects. There's nothing more funny and more rich. Every country has its dialects. We have dialects like you have here in Germany. The area where I come from, they have a very, very heavy dialect. My parents always wanted to make sure I didn't fall into this, okay?
Right.
It didn't sound right. But what you want to do if you'll be brought up in an area, in a rural area, where they speak a dialect? I mean, I still can speak those dialects in German when I go home. Sometimes when I have fun with friends, not talking about those kind of things, They're part of our upbringing, of our heritage. There's nothing wrong with it. You just have to know when you use it and when not to use it.
Well, exactly, right. And it's funny because I have like my normal voice now, right? My dialect, what I use, right? And some Southern comes out in that, especially after I have a couple glasses of wine or something like that. I get a little bit more Southern, right? Or stressed out, those things. My kids tell me I sound different and I enunciate better on the show when I'm doing this than I do normally, right? So there's a new version of Scott here doing this, right?
Put in when you're on the show a little bit.
When I'm on the show, it's like it's more professional, things like that. I'm not, but then I have like this, I like play around with this, like the same thing, the right time, like what y'all talking about, man? And it's like I start,
that's the neighborhood you come from. I mean, times, and you cannot forget this completely. It's a part of your upbringing,
Yeah, I know. So Chef, we got a couple more comments that came in. Bennett Carr came in. He says, "Hi, Scott." He's a avid listener, watcher of the show. And then somebody says, Dennis.
Dennis Gavigan.
Yes.
Marriott's Orlando World Center. They were the original people that started this whole thing. The World Center we call the mothership, the Rock.
Right.
Okay, so Aka, the spaceship. Why the spaceship? When the lights were on at night, you drove down towards the hotel. This looked like a spaceship. There was a 2,000 room hotel. I mean, that was the greatest experience of my career. And Dennis Gavigan was one of those guys that really lit up the place, with great ideas, creativity. We had so many opportunities because the hotel was making so much money. So money hides all sins.
Yes.
As long as you make profit, you don't have to worry about anything.
Right, exactly.
Nice, smile and behave and say hello to the GM every day. No problem. As long as your food costs, your wages are in line, no sweat.
Exactly.
This was this kind of hotel the first 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't miss. I mean, sometimes we made over 40% profit in food and beverage.
Wow.
Listen to me. That's unheard. Yes. So Dennis was one of those great guys, and I, very, very happy that I see his name here and that he just he sent some comments, or he did? No, he did.
He said, "My chef," and he blew you a kiss. And
then, kiss back.
Right.
That is a great guy. Dynamo, high energy, positive. This is what you need in our industry. High energy, exuberance. You have to believe in yourself, and then you believe in the rest of them, and they start to believe in you. That's leadership. You influence people in a positive way. Dennis was a wonderful guy.
Awesome. That's amazing. And maybe I'll have to reach out to him after the show and connect with him, because I always love picking people's brain. That's why we're here, right? We're going to talk about this, right?
Dennis, I tell you, he's a dynamo. He comes after you. He doesn't stop to ask questions.
Right.
Curiosity. Curious, you have to be curious, critical thinking. Many people stop doing this. That's why they're not successful.
Yep.
Not always relying all on talent. You have to work hard and work smart. Talent is one beautiful attribute, but it doesn't make it all. I mean, you have to do other things to stay talented.
Yep, exactly. So, Chef, let's back up a little bit. I mean, you started in Germany and Europe, becoming a chef. So let's back up and what got you interested in the industry and what led you to where, I mean, you ended up moving to Mexico at some point, but let's just get some background here.
Here's my in a nutshell, because it would take much more than 1 hour. Much more than 1 hour. I could talk because I had so many different facets of my life and facets of my family life. I was born and raised in Germany, little town close to Frankfurt, 25, 30 miles from Frankfurt. Bensheim-Auerbach, tongue twister. I know. Yes. Bensheim-Auerbach on the Bergstraße, beautiful town, beautiful place, beautiful mountain region, gorgeous, like Virginia. up North Carolina,
Right.
nothing like Florida. Totally different.
Right.
Totally.
Right.
Castles, wineries, vineyards. I mean, in the summertime, springtime, gorgeous. I did my apprenticeship program for 3 years in Germany. That's the way how it's happened. You do a 3-year apprenticeship program, and then you start to become a professional culinarian. You're not a chef yet. It takes a long time before you become a chef. Everybody you call here chef. No. It doesn't work that way. So then you go to all those agonizing pains and growing pains and go from hotel and restaurant to restaurant, hotel and restaurant, you pay your dues. And then in between, I did my military service for 2 years. German Army, 2 years. We were directly located across the barracks, American barracks. This was very, very, very funny. They invited us to play ping pong.
Oh, really?
I didn't know I was playing on the team in Germany. So I won every tournament there. That was unbelievable.
Right.
My first experience with Americans. Funny, I tell you, it was fantastic. They gave me this little lighter. You know, it was a lighter. I didn't smoke, but I still have this thing.
Oh, wow.
Emblem of the barracks, you know, so a little momentum. So I had this very nice relationship and contact, you know, with American soldiers. I did my 2 years there. And then my great dream always was to go to an Olympic Games. I was a huge track and field fan. I was discus thrower, hammer thrower. I did a lot of things. So my grandmother, who loved me dearly, gave me half of the cost of the trip. You know, grandmothers. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So bought the tickets, went to Cologne, Germany, because we all got together there. We assembled the team. There was 250 people, I think, they all went there. They shot at the plane and went to Mexico City. 68 Olympic Games. Don Carlos, Tommy Smith, you remember?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember? I was sitting there. I was sitting there and watched those guys doing this. This is another thing that is deeply anchored in my heart. I still think about it. I took a picture. I have similar picture than what you see in the news media always, because we were sitting 200 meters, 150 meters away from it.
Right.
They got their medals. And they stood up, black glove, you know, and had their fist up there. It was unbelievable. But we didn't realize what was really going on because we didn't live in America. We didn't know how racial bigotry was, you know. So went to Olympic Games, 3 weeks, came back. 4 days before we left, I met my wife, Martha. So we fell in love like it's happened. We didn't speak the language. We just sign language, you know, try to get understanding. When I told her, and I told their friends, you know, they spoke a little bit English. I spoke some words English, that I would come back in a year or before I would marry her. They looked at me. They said, "You're crazy. You don't come back and marry a Mexican woman. I mean, you don't even speak the language. How the hell you want to come back?" Some of us. I went back. The first thing I did, I talked to my mom. I looked in her eyes. I said, "Mom, I fell in love." When I said, "Son, I told you not to do it."
Yeah.
Why I should not have done it? Because how you want to go back there again? So I worked my behind off for 1 year in a neighboring town. And I got a little bit of money. And then again, my grandmother jumped in, helped me again. My grandmother was unbelievable. She was the superstar in my life, and my grandparents in general. That's why I want to make sure I'm a good grandparent to my 6 grandchildren. Went back a year later, as I promised my future wife, back to Mexico. In the meantime, the way how we kept communication going between us, because I didn't speak Spanish, she didn't speak German, we both didn't speak English very well either, is that my mom, she spoke very well English, and her girlfriend, who was a teacher in a school in Mexico, she spoke also very well. They wrote the love letters to each other in our names. Okay, so I told my wife more or less my mother what I wanted to say, and she wrote it down in English and sent it over there. In those days, there were no internet, there were no cell phones, there were nothing. Writing, cards, letters, you know. This is how we kept for 12 months the communication open.
Wow.
Thanks to those 2 people. So once this was established, I went to Mexico, didn't have a work permit, nothing. They could have detained me, put me in jail.
Right.
So I had a tourist visa. So the brother of my future wife was so nice and drove me around for 6 weeks, almost every day, looking for a job, looking for somebody who would hire a crazy German
Right.
without any working permits, you know.
Right.
So we got to the Hilton, in the Continental Hilton, this famous hotel in La Calle de Reforma in Mexico City, 450 room hotel, 400 room hotel. All the great personalities that came to Mexico in those days stayed in this hotel. And got destroyed later on by the earthquake 85. Totally.
Right.
They saw in me something but nobody else saw in me. They said, okay, we get you a permit and we hire you as garde-manger, chef garde-manger, because I was German trained, you know, the chef was German then too, the sous chef was Swiss. So they knew what they would hire here. Okay, they knew that they would get a trained professional.
Right.
So I started there my journey for 3 years. As chef garde-manger, I worked in the Belvedere Club. The Belvedere Club in the 15th floor. People like Frank Sinatra sang there, like Marilyn Monroe showed up, like Rocky Marciano. Unbelievable. Anybody who came to Mexico went to this place.
Right.
The Hilton and went up there, the Belvedere Club. Beautiful club. Worked there for 3 years. After 3 years, I got a little bit cold feet and I wanted to go back to Germany. But in the meantime, I got married with my wife. Okay? So I talked to the GM and said, hey, listen, can you help me to get me a transfer to Germany, to the München Hilton? When he said, okay, let me look into it. My wife was very excited. She said, let's go to Germany. But she had no clue how cold it is there. She had no clue.
Right.
It's like Chicago sometimes, 20 below zero.
Right.
Cold, beautiful, but cold. So I got a transfer as sous chef / garde-manger again in one of the special restaurants. So we went to Germany. We stayed there for 1 year. But once again, my wife got homesick, and it was just too cold in the wintertime. It was impossible.
Right.
And we had those, you know, skirts, and then the leather boots, and then, you know, the snow, and she walked there to the train station. And I mean, it was just impossible. We didn't have to close. We had to change completely our lifestyle.
Right.
So we went back to the Acapulco Hilton, one of the hotels in the system of Hilton. Fantastic hotel. Went there, worked there for 1 year, and later on got involved with, met some people from Marriott. And the vice president of Marriott was Mr. Carl Kilberg. So he told me that they were interested in me, but I had to go through a hiring process.
Right.
So in the meantime, I had switched already to the Princess Hotel in Acapulco, one of the hotels in the world. Fabulous place. I worked there for 1 year, but then Marriott contacted me and said, yeah, we got you set. You want to come still? I said, absolutely. But in the meantime, I got hepatitis, full-blown hepatitis. If my chief steward would not have driven me to the doctor this one night, I would have died, Scott. That's how bad it was.
Right.
So this guy, the doctor was fabulous, you know. The only thing for me, there was like this magic environment, this big, huge, shined eye painted on his wall. One big eye, open eye. I came in there, I thought, there's just no way that this guy will not help me. I will be dead before I leave. But no, this guy was fabulous. Gave me the right penicillin, the right medicine. And then the phone call came, and this was all happening. So under normal circumstances, anybody in his right mind would have said, you cannot go anywhere right now. You have to stay here for 3-4 weeks until you get rid of the virus, you know, the hepatitis.
Right.
But I said, I have to go there. So I went there to Houston, Texas to interview with the flown hepatitis. I bought me some sunglasses because all my eyes were turning yellow.
Oh, wow.
My skin was trying to yellow. I think I was insane. I just saw that I would not get this job. I wanted to come so badly. When those kind of attitudes followed me in my career later on, I took some risky decisions. when it
Right.
comes to my health. I'm telling you, just to get jobs. I can tell you some other stories that were just mind-boggling.
Mm-hmm.
But I did because I knew I had to do this. So I went on the plane. My wife was scared to death. Scared to
Right.
death. She didn't know if she
Right.
would see me again. Flew to Houston, Texas, to the Marriott, the pro-color Marriott in Houston. Okay. In those days, Marriott had 67 hotels or 65 hotels.
Yep. Okay.
So we went there, did my interview. The people looked at me when I sat down. I said, "You are right. You're fine." And I said, "No." I said, "What's going on?" "I have hepatitis." "What? Hepatitis?" Just, then Mr. Greiner and then Mr. Kitsanos, they almost fell out of their shoes. I said, "You crazy? How the hell you can come over here? Is this infectious?" I said, "I really don't know." They asked me, "Is this A, B, C?" I mean, and it wasn't infectious, but still, they were scared to death. So they indirectly told me, "Okay, if you get back again, you get well, we will hire you.
Right.
You have to prove to us that you're not sick anymore." Went back to Acapulco, put my resignation in, but they knew already about my escape.
Right.
Somebody told them. They saw
Mm.
me at the airport, and Chef is, I think, interviewing. Well, they were furious,
Mm.
But I had to resign, otherwise they would have fired me. And I went to 3-4 weeks later. I went to food school to Washington. Marriott in those days had this famous food school, an intro to management.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 4-week program. 1 week was food school, and then 2 weeks were intro to management, and there was another orientation week. Unbelievable. My
Right.
first time that I saw American systems, how it all works. It was like my mini college degree in America.
Mm-hmm.
When other people go to college to learn whatever, I went to the food school. I went to introduction to management and did all this. After I got this done in San Antonio, I did my little apprenticeship program with Marriott there. I was the banquet chef there, San Antonio Riverwalk, not the river center, the Riverwalk. From then later on, I went right away to Houston, Texas. Chef, got promoted 8 months later.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me green light, said, "You ready? Go. You want to be chef?" No? Yes, absolutely. I was chef for 1 year in Houston, Texas, and then my big dream came through to go to Maui, to open the Maui Marriott. And then I went to the Maui Marriott. Dream came true for 5 years, one of the most exciting times in my life. After the 5 years in the Maui Marriott, I had severe hepatitis.
Mm.
No, not hepatitis, that's true. The hepatitis I hadn't used, but I got very, very sick there too for a short period of time. Then I saw the World Center opening up. So I wrote a letter to Washington, the headquarters, and my F&B director was very, very helpful. John Carlson, great guy, wonderful guy. He supported it. I wrote a letter so I would get a transfer to the World Center here in Orlando.
Mm.
And I was one of 20 candidates who applied for this job. I found out later on. They gave it to me.
Mm.
So I went to the World Center and opened the World Center. I stayed at the World Center for 15 years.
Mm.
The best experience you can envision for anybody who loves to work in the hotel industry.
Right.
Fantastic hotel. Later on, from 1,500 went to 2,000 rooms. We had over 400,000 square foot ballroom space. I would recommend you, Scott, go on my website. I sent it to you yesterday one more time. I
Right.
hope you
Yeah.
can open it up. Go there, and there are 5 or 6 videos. You can see them when you open all the things up. One is about the ACF convention / ice castle, 95,000 pound of ice castle. Watch it.
Mm.
It was never done a 90, almost 100,000 pound ice castle in a ballroom anywhere in the world.
Mm.
With fireworks and indoor. We did stuff there out of the world. Las Vegas didn't do what we did,
Right.
And that's why I think about Dennis Gaffigan. Those
Right.
are the kind of people that came and helped me and supported me.
Mm.
If it wouldn't have for them guys, then from the World Center later on, I left.
1 second, Chef. We got one more comment that came in from Alexander Bush. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, of course, another great guy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Says, great to see you, Chef. Stay strong and well.
Wonderful people. get emotional, you know. So I later on did my 15 years with the Marriott, the World Center, and from there I went to open Gila Parks, another giant hotel. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me. Stayed there only 6 months and left. But then, in between, I did my consulting a little bit. I did a country club for a year, established new pastry shop, did a lot of changes, got a new chef for them. They were all great experiences. There was not one experience in my consulting years was bad, not one of them. They were all good because I think people were all decent and honest. We knew what to expect from each other because that's the most important thing in consulting. Otherwise, it will not work. Then I opened up Champions Gate, Omni. Another fantastic experience.
Right.
Worked with them for 7 years here, Champions Gate. In the meantime, we traveled to Spain, to Argentina, to France. Every year they did this culinary trip around the world. Took 40 chefs or 30 chefs and 10 F&Bs and 5 GMs and traveled around the world. Wine and dine. I mean, unbelievable.
Right.
Restaurant, best hotel, wineries. That was one of the most fabulous programs. After the trip was over, we came back. Then we did a 3 months promo about the trip, about the food of the country.
Right.
With chef's table, with the cooking in the kitchen with Chef Mueller. It was out of this world. 15, 20 people showed up. They stayed over the weekend in a hotel. They paid the package. The package was over the weekend. I don't know how much it was. Dinner, breakfast, and a lunch. And then this cooking hiatus in the kitchen in our hotel. So we did this. Then I left. Then I started to do full-time later on, the consulting thing. But in the meantime, long before going back to Mexico, very, very quick, I had the privilege for 3 years to work in between for the president of Mexico, Miquel Aleman.
Right.
Once I went to his house. House, palace. It was not a house, 25,000 square feet. I mean, so he owned pretty much Mexico. You have to understand how it works in Mexico. You talk about rich people, they are rich. When he owned the hotel, so we had to go there. The chef went there and myself. And cooked in his beautiful kitchen guy had in his house, in his palace.
Right.
We should have to bring some pots and pans and some food articles he didn't have. And then, Lady Bird Johnson came. She was invited one time. All the famous Mexican movie stars were there. He was befriended with all the different presidents around the world. And sometimes they flew in very quick for an afternoon and just had dinner there with him, and then they flew back again. Or we prepared all the stuff for them. So that was quite an experience too.
Yeah, I bet it was.
So that's in a nutshell, all my, my little things I did in between. Then I was corporate chef in between for Holiday Inns of Mexico for a year and a half. They had only 15 or 20 properties in those days. That was also very interesting. But America called me. America calls you, you go. Understand?
That's cool, right?
Because of great opportunities. And I knew it would be a great life-changing opportunity for me. I knew this. I knew nobody had to tell me this. I knew this.
Right. Well, it's an amazing life story, right? And thank you for taking us through that. It's, I think that's something that our culture here in America misses out on, and which is I'm sitting here, just happy as I can be, because our culture does not really pull wisdom from our grandparents and those type of things. And I love multiple things in that I'm getting to share some of your wisdom, be the conduit to share that. Also hearing you talk about, wanting to be a great grandparent for your 6 grandkids, like your grandmother and grandparents were for you.
Very important. Because, we have 6 different ages. The one will be 20 now in March. He goes to Rollins College, one of the best small colleges in America. The most famous student is Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Right. Roger went and graduated there in the 50s, yes. I tell you, a fabulous college. Google it one day. Just take a look on their campus. I spent the whole day with him, sitting in the classroom.
Really?
In orientation.
Wow.
If I would give me a chance, I would go there to classes
Mm,
right now.
right.
How excited I was. Not only the campus, it was the attitude of the teachers and professors.
Hmm.
They're all educated, they're civilized, they say good morning, good afternoon. All those things my grandparents and parents taught me.
Right.
You just
Right.
said, I know you talked about tradition,
Exactly. Your tradition. Yeah.
you know, and it doesn't make any difference, rich, poor, in between. You get some upbringing you can be proud of, you
Right.
can look back on. It's like contagious. You
Hmm.
will eventually feed this stuff to your kids and grandkids.
Right.
This is what I'm trying to do with my grandkids. That's why I devote so much time to my oldest grandson, and he's very talented and gifted. He's very good in school. He's smart. When he's conservative, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't hang out around people. Right now, you cannot hang out with anybody because the virus. In one way, that's pretty good. You don't have to watch them too much. They watch themselves because they don't want to get sick.
Right.
So this is exactly what I'm trying to say here. It's not all about cooking. It's about so many other important things in life.
Right. So I really, if I had to narrow myself down about the restaurant business, and there's a couple things, right? One is leadership, and I want to really ask you about what you learned about leadership over the years. But tomorrow I'm going to do a special show. Maybe you can watch it or chime in, give me a couple comments. I'm actually going to do a live cooking show.
No,
So
really.
yes,
You do this in your house, or
yeah, my house. Yeah, I'm gonna do it at my house. Yep.
I've got time. What?
Yeah, so, probably around 2 o'clock your time in
Yeah,
Florida, right? So I'm gonna do it by noon here, right?
absolutely. You bet.
Yeah,
I will look into it. I mean,
yeah. So because I love food, I'm a foodie. My wife's an amazing cook, and I've been around it, been and learned so many things from chefs over the years. People ask me like, "Are you a chef?" I've been asked that 100 times, right? And then they would come to find out that I was the GM or director of food and beverage, and I wasn't the chef, right? Those type of
I'm
things, and
sure you
so
understand the industry. You lived your life in the industry.
yes,
You know
I
what
did.
it takes to work 16, 18 hours. You know
Right.
what it takes to plate up dinners or the banquets, because you had to jump in there, put an apron on, and just move the plates. In smaller hotels, mid-sized hotels, that's what you have to do. Even in larger hotels, you have to do those kinds of. I did this all the time. I had 180 cooks, and I still
Yeah.
had to do it.
Right. I worked in a 499 room hotel as a director of restaurants. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We had a breakfast restaurant. We had a award-winning steakhouse. We had room service for all those rooms. In-room dining, banquets. That type of stuff. And so we had all those things going on. And then I was the director of food and beverage at a 99 room boutique hotel, 4-star. Right. And I literally would be, running food in the morning for breakfast for the breakfast restaurant or setting up the buffet. And then that night I could be like helping bartend, right, for a reception for the new group coming in. Right. I mean, it's like saying bye bye to the group that's leaving with breakfast and then saying hello to the new group, And so, yeah, I've done those, 16, 18-hour days and, worked 13 days in a row. I've done those type of things.
But it's good to walk in those shoes. It's always good because it helps you to understand and sympathize with those kind of people. But they still go through, many of them, they still work in the industry.
Right.
So I admire those, they endure. They don't give up. They know there will be better days. They work hard until they get to this position where they can relax. You can never relax completely.
Right.
In the hospitality industry, you're always on your toes, always. Once you hit the floor, you keep running.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will not provide the right service to people.
Right. You got to stay in front of it for sure. And one of the things that I always looked at, if I knew what my employees, and a lot of them here in Park City would have two jobs. I mean, they were working 16-hour days at an hourly, right? There was no chance for a bonus or any of those things. They would go work breakfast one place. They would then, leave there at 3 o'clock and then show up to work for us at 4 o'clock. And they would work, until midnight for us or, and those things. And they were doing that 5 days a week, right? Some of us, like some would be our prep cooks for the Roost Chris Steakhouse, get to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then they would go work at another place at another restaurant that night. And so people are like, well, why do you work so much? And I'm like, well, I don't work as much as those guys do over there, or those gals, right? Or, and I always had this, thing that, it's like, I didn't, and I wouldn't want to say, oh my gosh, I've worked 10 hours today. I'm so tired, right? When those guys are working 16, right? Just
Yeah,
to provide a better life for their family,
no,
right?
the
So
whole
I tremendous respect for that.
what it is when it comes down to it.
Yep. So let's talk about leadership. So what you mean, you mentioned earlier about Dennis, what it was leadership, like how he was curious and those type of things.
I,
So, you have 180 cooks or culinarians or on your team and, from, dish machine operators, stewards, those type of things. How is it leading those large teams like that?
you have to be visible, 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 visible.
Mhm.
Not necessarily so much that you have to talk all the time, but people want to see you. They
Mhm.
want to see you 8 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and 10 o'clock at night, if it's possible.
Mhm.
And I have always made a point just to lead by example. Every morning, in all my days as chef in different hotels, particularly in the World Center, I walked to all the kitchens. I
Mm.
walked out at 8, 8:30 in the morning. People knew already I was coming.
Mm.
There was a 2-hour walk.
Yeah.
Giant hotel, I'm telling you this. And sometimes people want to ask questions about their benefits. Sometimes they want to see what's going on with my schedule shift. They cut me again 6 hours. When I don't have all the schedules of all the restaurants in my head, so I have to make notes, and I have to go back and get right away the sous chef to look into it, to get it taken care of. But this is unbelievably important. I give you one example. There was a day here and there I had to go doctor's appointment, dentist appointment early in the morning. People were bitching and complaining. They were calling to my secretary. I said, "Where's the chef? Why the chef didn't walk through? Where is he?" I mean,
Mm.
really adamant about this. That's how they're used to, rightfully so, that Chef Mueller would show up and shake their hand and hug them.
Mm. Right.
It's a human contact. It's this very special, we call it chemistry, you have to build.
Right.
Part of leadership. Leading is always something what is very particular, what is very personal.
Human. Right.
They're all human. Leaderships come all in different shapes and forms.
Mhm.
There's quiet leadership, there's outspoken leadership, there's quiet leadership. My leadership was always outgoing.
Mm.
Let them know how you feel and let them know where you are so they know where they are. Never refuse anything, even it's uncomfortable. Attack it, resolve it, and move on right away. Don't wait.
Mm.
This will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger when it blow up in your face. Nobody else's face, in your face.
Right.
Because you're the leader. That's why they put you where you are today. And I had a beautiful office, where I had a big round table, and then I had a desk in the back there. We were always sitting all at the round table.
Mm.
That was our war zone, where we
Right.
discussed. We had flip chart there, and we talked about all kinds of things, empowerment, anything, how to discipline people, troubleshooting. There was no day there was not a meeting there.
Right.
Or I had meetings in the middle of the kitchen at a whiteboard, a huge whiteboard. Then we broke everything down. Then we had incentive programs, a rocket launch, with different departments. Who got first to the moon? I mean, crazy stuff. But I had all those kind of people like Alexander, like Dennis, like Tom, like Peter. Fabulous human beings. They're all well educated.
Mm.
All know how to talk to people. They know how to listen to people.
Mm. So how important, when I think of, all the massive things you've done, right? How important was the planning process, in this? Because, people have a tendency a lot of times in the restaurant, hotel world, waiting to the last minute to do things. So how important was to get ahead of it and be pre-planned?
That's one of the great secrets of great leadership. You have to let people know way in advance what's your motivation, because they all look towards you. You're the chef. There's nobody else. It's just you. Okay, you have sous chefs and department chefs, but it's you. You have to give them the vision and the mission.
Mm.
If you have those two, that's why Marriott is so organized. They have all those tools, the mission, vision. You have to have a mission statement, a vision statement. If you don't have this as a department within the hotel, you sink. You will not make it.
Mm-hmm.
And the GM will go by those kind of things. They will come and challenge you. When we missed our food costs here and there, wages. Food cost was a big profit contributor in our hotel, believe me.
Mm-hmm.
We lost a couple of food cost points, $250,000.
Yeah.
This place did $6-7 million a month average in my days.
Right.
Imagine what they today do.
Yeah, it's probably, with inflation and
A
all
million,
those things.
a million, whatever. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's how big this place was. So we couldn't afford to have any hiccups.
No.
When he would just, the GM was Mr. McDonald, Jim McDonald, fabulous guy. Here, I do this because I had it here and had it here. He was very, very, very smooth operator. I mean, he knew he didn't yell, he didn't lift his voice. No. Would never exist with him. He just called you over to his office. But you knew already. I mean, you got in his office, there was something cooking, something very special. So he just sit down, chef, I want to talk to you. And he laid back, and then he started to list all kinds of stuff, why the food cost was high, why the food cost should not be high. And then he gave me a speech on a profit P&L statement, why it made such a difference that you lost 2 percentage points. And you had an explanation. If not, he said, okay, this time you can go, but the next time you will have an explanation, chef. We need to know, because I have to report out to my superiors. Right. So that was always the relationship. You would never get away with yelling and screaming in the places with Marriott I worked. No way. It was always calm, very focused, organized, structured, production planning meetings every day in the morning and the afternoon. Scheduling was based on a production meeting. You knew there were production charts. We had to initial them when they were done. Inventory, prep, all those old cliches from way back. There were no better Marriott. There were no better company than Marriott to implement those kind of things. They still work today, Scott.
Yeah.
Those systems still work today. So for me, that was very important. I had to learn those things because I came from the European tradition. The Arabic production system, which just great cooks.
Right.
Rich cooks with a French accent,
Right.
That doesn't work. You have to have both things. That's why I talk seminars with Tom Peters, Kenneth Blanchard, Stephen Covey. I went to their live meetings. I'm a Dale Carnegie graduate.
Right.
I took this very, very serious.
And
when it comes to managing people, it's as important as cooking, if not more important.
Right.
You don't train your cooks right, they don't know how to cook.
Well, communication, emotional intelligence is what we call the calmness part,
Absolutely, and you have to have an initiative that keeps you motivated. When you have a great relationship with your boss, it's already enough motivation to come to work every day.
Right.
But if you don't, then you want to look for another job. There's an old saying in the industry, people don't leave companies, they leave managers.
Yes. Yep.
And I had to understand and I had to learn this very, very quickly.
I learned that the hard way, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and realize that. And then, when somebody's putting their notice, I would ask, what, why you're leaving, right? And it turns out later in my career, people were leaving because there actually was legitimate, if they're in LA working in Los Angeles, right, they wanted a shorter commute or can make more money, or the reason that they've got their job they were looking for, become a yoga instructor, actors, something like that, right? And those things.
There was one incident very quickly, poor management, what was happening to me many, many years ago in Mexico. When I worked in Mexico, my first couple of years, when I came from Germany, I had an incident happening in the kitchen. My executive chef went to Acapulco for 5 days with his family. I took over. I was executive sous chef. And we had an incident at night that we got really, really busy in both restaurants. And I went to the butcher shop and said, hey, listen, we need more pork chops and we need more filet mignons. And he just looked at me. I think he was upset. He was tired. He was overworked, perhaps. I said, okay. So I turned around thinking that he understood me very well, that he would do what he was said. And then half an hour later, I was still not done. I went there back again because people were complaining, didn't have any mise en place anymore. Then the guy got so pissed off at me, he threw this knife, this big butcher knife, in front of me on the butcher block. The knife didn't bounce towards me directly, it bounced away. But this could have been a very, very dangerous situation. So I went there and pushed him. Oh no, German in Mexico pushing a worker
Right.
committing suicide.
Yeah.
45 minutes later, all of a sudden, police came into the hotel, to the lobby, came in the kitchen, handcuffed me and picked me up.
Wow.
When I went to jail, 12 o'clock at night.
Oh, wow.
To the lobby, not to the back entrance.
To the lobby, right?
There were some airline pilots, checking in. They came, and they just all looked at me. I just couldn't believe it. They're thinking, who's doing the breakfast tomorrow? When this guy is going to jail. I was in chef's uniform.
Yeah, yeah.
Picked me up. This became a huge major issue later on. My wife was looking for me. They couldn't find me because they didn't know which police station.
Right.
Later on, some bellboys, they found out to their friends which police station. So they went there. The F&B director got called at home. He had to go there 3 o'clock in the morning to bail me out. I would be still sitting there right now.
Right.
Happening.
Right.
You don't know how to manage people.
Right.
This is happening. Get yourself ready, particularly you go to a foreign country. Don't speak the language.
Right.
Can be very hairy.
It can be for sure. We had another comment come in, Eric, and I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Yep. Truly enjoyed my time starting my Marriott career under Chef Mueller.
Yeah, I know.
Kazabuskin, I can't even want to take a chance at that, Eric, but no, I can only imagine, right? All the life experiences. Chef, we're getting close to an hour here. You're still in the consulting game, right? So your flavors and essence, right?
Right now, very honestly, don't want to jump on the airplane.
Right.
I'm not looking forward to do this. The last major projects we did in Cancun with Chefs Helping Chefs, he invited me on board because he has his own organization, Chef Roger and myself, and he called me up and asked me if I wanted to go there because I spoke Spanish.
Right.
We went there a total of 4 weeks.
2
weeks, then came back another 2 weeks. Wonderful experience. Princess Hotel in Cancun. Had 2 classes every day, one from 9 to 12, and then from 1 to 4 every day. And teach them about food handling, teach them about soups and sauces, all the basic products. Mexican workforce is one of the best workforce in the world, let me tell you. I love to work with Hispanics, Puerto Ricans, Colombians, Mexicans, Cubans, I don't care. Fabulous. Asians, fabulous. You talk about talented, carving, ice carving, other sculptures. Blow your mind.
Absolutely.
It was always very important to work with those people. But getting back to what you just said, it's very, very important to put your arm around people. Really give them the time of the day to let them be what they want to be. Even you work within a system would have boundaries, but you're the chef. You can make it happen.
Right.
That's what you have to get in dialogue, conversations. That's for me is leadership. Every single 24/7.
I agree. Right. I learned later in my career, that the more that I could help people get to where they wanted to go, that the more they would be willing to give to us when we needed them.
Not easy. You have your own life, your own problems.
Right.
But you have to be the kind of guy. That's why they chose you as chef.
Yep.
Exactly. You have to be the kind of guy. If you don't want to go through those kind of steps, then don't do it. You will hurt yourself and hurt hundreds of other people.
Right. Exactly. So I'm going to put in the comments or in the show notes. I can go edit this, your website. The link that you did send me through LinkedIn did work. I did get into your site this morning. It was on there. Yeah. I don't know what was happening on the other ones that I had that weren't working, but it's the internet, right? You never know, right? You never know. So I'll put that in there, and then how people can contact you through LinkedIn. They can reach out to you, send you a message that way as well, right?
There's one little more saying I wanted to bring up, and I brought it up the last time you and me talked. This is my business plan.
Right.
There the kitchen forum, the hub, all kinds of things, 4 different concepts under one roof. Something really original. I still believe there's room, there's a space out there somewhere to build this project. Okay,
Right.
needs a lot of money. I know it's always connected with money, but it's also connected with human resources. Money is not everything in life. You have to have great ideas, but then you need the people to implement those great ideas eventually. And I hope that people show interest with. I can send them some excerpts about the business plan. I have them on the computer. There are 3-4 pages that talk about the basics of the concept. But it's something that still keeps me very motivated. It doesn't let me sleep overnight because I think about this and I put a lot of effort, a lot of time in there. More so as a consultant. I think something that comes in handy, what makes sense for me as a consultant to do those kind of things.
Right.
Somebody who watches right now might show some interest and want to have a conversation with Chef Mueller. So we're here to explain him exactly what it entails and what it's all about.
Awesome. Is it similar to like a European food hall type concept?
Oh, it's how I can explain this to you, Scott. It's you have all 5 continents, featuring foods.
Right.
6 months we change the menu. We will have for lunch. We will have fashion shows. We will have all kinds of things. We will have a little auditorium for 200 people where we can watch culinary movies. Great chefs do cooking demonstrations. All kinds of things. The people that go to this place, they will be entertained for 3, 4, 5 hours. Besides eating and drinking, they have chef's table, 3 chef's table. One Asian chef's table with 4 different features, from Mongol table to sushi table to then another one is Mediterranean table. This is all under one roof, 60,000 square feet perhaps, 50,000 square feet. Then you have an outdoor little, you call it tianguis. Tianguis is the Indian market, in Mexico. They have this with all different kinds of cookouts and from Argentina, from Mexico, from, the places where you have really great cookouts,
Right.
So this is something a little bit different, more customized to the American customer. They're used to those kind of things. I'm not saying Europeans that come over here would not like us, of course. But Americans think bigger. You understand? We think bigger here. We think much more bigger.
Right.
Even things are not working out very well like right now, we still think bigger.
Right.
And as long as we keep this in our hearts and our souls, we're doing okay. We have to keep thinking big. Even if it sounds crazy, you have to do the little things, the basics right first. I agree with this. But what I loved in this country is that people think big. They still believe.
Right.
It's the way to get it done.
Right.
And this thing has a lot to do with this kind of philosophy, this kind of thinking.
I'm excited to see it come into fruition. I think it would be an amazing thing. Right. And so because, as we get past COVID, right, let's say where we're at 2022, 2023, I'm seeing people really want to connect. Right. And so that we miss this human connection. And we've talked about there's been one running theme through this whole thing, like your 250 people going to Mexico for the Olympics, right? And then the connection between your family and communicating with, your future wife back in Mexico, right? You're walking around, taking a 2.5-hour trip around the hotel every day. And this connection piece is something that us humans need.
But to get there, Scott, I just want to throw this out as a little cautious warning. You have to show commitment and discipline. To defeat this virus or to put it on the leash, you have to show discipline and commitment.
Right.
Forget the government. It's us people.
Right.
Each citizen has to do this every day. If they tell you to put a mask on, you put a mask on.
Right.
If they tell you to wash your hands, you wash your hands. If you don't keep doing it, we will not get there. I mean, that's not That's not brain surgery. I mean, that's
Right.
the kind of stuff I miss in America sometimes. This discipline, this belief we can do better. It
Right.
used to be after the Second World War. You had the
Right.
Marshall Plan who saved Europe and saved Germany. So
Mhm.
they saved us more than anybody else. We need another Marshall Plan.
Mm.
Something where people look up to and say, yeah, I can believe in this. I can see that makes sense.
Mhm.
We have the same problem in Germany right now with discipline and commitment. It's just much more smaller. It's easier to handle.
Right.
There's 330 million. Over there, 82 million.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's easier to put your arms around it. Here, 50 states, 50 governors, 50 driver's license, 50 everything.
Yep.
Very, very difficult. Every time you open your mouth, you cannot say anything. I'm the governor of Arizona. Shut up. Even you're the president. What are we doing here?
Right. Right.
It's for everybody's good. It's for all of us.
Right.
So that's the only thing I want to say. Otherwise, we can get there again. Yeah, I believe this. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
Right.
Positive individual. I drive
Absolutely.
positive.
Yep. Chef, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. I
So
can't
much.
thank you enough for coming on. Right.
Anytime.
I
Appreciate
think a true indication of our legacy is when people actually like, Dennis, Alexander, and Eric have all reached out, and without us reaching out to them and saying, hey, Chef's going to be on the show, Jefe is going to be on the show, they're coming in and saying they truly enjoyed you, great to see you, and that, I
Oh,
think,
same for
you know,
me. I mean,
yeah,
me,
it,
that's, I think it's very important. It speaks volume.
it does. It does speak volumes. So, again, thanks again coming on the show. Tomorrow is going to be a bonus episode, 77. I'm going to do a live cooking show, Chef. So I look forward to you giving me
2 o'clock. Yes. Yes.
critiquing me on that. Right? It's going to be a family affair. I'm going to have my wife and my
Really.
kids around, kind of, because it's going to be in the kitchen, right? And so I built this. Where you can do overhead style, like you see those videos online on Instagram and stuff. So we're going to have a camera that's going to be looking straight down on
So
the
you know
pan.
what you cook already, or that's a secret now?
What was that?
You know what you will cook?
I got an idea what I'm going to cook, right? But I'm just going to look at what we have in the fridge and kind of just like put things together like I would normally cook. Now, for someone who who really tries to, most of my shows are chef talking about healthy living, right? And so when you look at the blue zones, have you heard of the blue zones?
Blue zones.
Blue zones are the 5 areas of the world that have the highest populations of people
Oh,
over 100 years old,
I got you. I
right?
got
Right. And so the common thing between all of their diets is they're 90% plant-based,
you. Yeah, yeah.
right?
Of course, that's
Yep.
what all
Yep.
of it.
And so I'm probably gonna make this dish that I made the other week. This I called it redneck stir fry, where it had onions and cabbage, and then some garlic in there, and then I put some buffalo sauce in this. So I made this chicken buffalo stir fry, right?
Very
It's
quick. There's a hotel in Arizona. You know, when I was working with Tyson's Food, they got me on certain trips to develop new chicken breast. In between, I did this when I worked with Marriott. Great experience. CIA and then Arizona. He stayed in this hotel. It was a vegetarian hotel, all vegetarian food.
right.
The first 3 to 4 or 5 dishes were asparagus, spinach, cauliflower, whatever, and then they had a little tiny piece of protein.
Mm,
Their whole concept, their food concept, was based on this kind of philosophy.
right.
Amazing, I'm telling you, Scott.
Yeah.
We left there with the eyes open, with great chefs and big hotels,
Yeah.
eyes open. There's so much to learn,
Yes.
so much to know about food.
Right.
This.
So here's the thing, right? This is what I love doing. I start with whatever I have in the fridge and the pantry and all those things, and I start with these base of flavors. And then as I get to the point to where it's like, okay, I could add some protein to this. It could be tofu, it could be chicken, it could be something left over, it could be nothing, right? It could just be this 100% plant-based meal. And then I make a choice on how I'm going to finish the dish based off what flavors I want to have. So I could go Asian, I could go Mediterranean, I could go. So when you ask me what I'm going to cook, I have no idea what I'm going to be interested in eating for lunch tomorrow, right? And so I'm just going to, and so that as I start developing like a cookbook or those type of things, I want to really create these bases of flavors. And then people can act like a chef and go, we can finish it this way. It goes on to this particular item, like goes on to this menu and it has this sauce on it and it's this, or this particular prepped item can go this way and do this, right? And so kind of teach people not on a scale like you've done, but just how restaurant people think about developing menus and cross utilization of products in their home. And I think this could be the next evolution of what people are doing with this meal prep thing, where they make the same thing to eat, for the whole week. On Sunday, they do all this cook and make the same thing, where we can teach them how to create variety in their food, even with the same basis.
Yeah, leave you with the thought: cooking great food is a journey, not a destination.
Absolutely.
Think of it.
Yep. Thank you very much. That means a lot. So, Chef, we're at just over an hour. I'm going to, it's been, we probably could talk.
Talk with you for a long time.
Yeah. Long time, right? Long time.
Because you worked in the industry. I mean, you know what this is all about.
Yep, absolutely. And I have so much respect for you, for your career, for your story. And I really hope that, not only the people's lives you touch as you worked, but this actually can work as a way to help touch people's lives. And, like I know, there's people who watch the show that are young restaurant managers that are interested in health, right? Like, and they get both things, that they can, learn as much from you as I have over the, just from this show. So.
Very good.
Right. Again, I'm going to do a show tomorrow. We're going to do a cooking show. Tune in for a special bonus episode.
You will get a comment from me tomorrow. I promise you.
Yeah. All right. And then also, I'm going to update your website, put it in the comments or in the show notes for each one of the locations, the 8 locations that we're in. So people can get in touch with you and see the Ice Castle.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to wrap it up right here, folks. My name is Scott Stanfield. I am the Modern Longevitarian. And I hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow. It's time to roll credits. Cheers.